Well, big news, guys. We're going live right now. Alabama picks up a commitment, an offensive lineman, and a guy that is on the rise right now. And I'm talking about Chris Booker from the Atlanta area. He's a guy that Alabama fell in love with. He's someone that maybe hasn't shown up on all the recruiting services yet, but he will, and he's committed to Alabama. We're going to talk about that right here on Cover Crimson. So sit back, relax, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Roll Tide, everybody. All right, he's Clint Lamb. I'm Mick Gillispie. MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code next round to double your initial deposit. Clint, Bama has found an offensive lineman. Coach Cap really likes this guy. You're talking about someone that's definitely on the rise, but Alabama spotted him early in Chris Booker, and he is committed to Alabama.
Yeah, this is a good get. It's an underrated get. Right now, doesn't have a ranking. Actually, according to On3, they do have him listed as a 4-star, 90 grade. Now, I don't know when that was made. He doesn't have a whole lot as far as recruiting rankings or anything like that, but he's a guy that the staff really likes. He had visited previously back during the season. I want to say he was like in the 260, 265 range. He reported back for junior day, and he had gained 20 pounds. So, obviously moving in the right direction there, but plays a lot of left tackle, a little left guard, a little right tackle for his high school team, but mostly been playing left tackle on tape. Very athletic guy. I was actually watching him earlier, and I was extremely impressed. I'm sure we'll get into that more. But for Kalen DeBoer and company, this is a nice get, and one that from a fan's perspective, you might not know this guy quite yet, but he's going to climb in these rankings. He's going to get some rankings according to some of these services, and then I would expect him to climb a little bit because he's a really good player.
Yeah, I did a show on him recently too, and I was like surprised that he wasn't ranked. We talked about him on one of our shows the other day. We were talking about offensive linemen that were kind of on the rise, and it was with Booker. It was like, hey, this is a guy Alabama really likes, but when you look at him on the recruiting services, not everybody has him. But that doesn't mean that he's not a good player. It just means that not everybody has him. And I'm going to give you guys a great example of that. Mike Johnson talks about when he was being recruited that he wasn't on any of the service boards. And then when Alabama gave him an offer, that was with Mike Shula, all of a sudden he was a 3-star right away, So it was like, hey, Bama's coaches basically figured out that he was a good player. But then all of a sudden the recruiting services are like, hey, this is a guy we got to pay attention to. And all he was a 2-time All-American, a national champion, and got to play in the NFL for a while.
Well, what we've talked about with the way that Alabama's kind of approaching things, there is that they have a certain style of player that they're looking for. You have to have some athleticism. You got to have some, you got to be able to work a little bit as far as be a physical style of player, want to get after folks, scrappy, nasty, however you want to describe it. We've talked about that when it comes to Bear McWhorter. With Chris Booker on tape, because he's not even close to being the same size, or especially on his tape, like I said, he was like 265-ish. So he's gained pretty considerable weight since then. I'll be curious to see how he continues to move and stuff as he continues to gain weight. But to me, kind of this stage in the process, if I had to compare him to somebody, and they're not the same player, but just to give people an idea of kind of a guy who was maybe a little bit lower rated, kind of had a similar build, was a tackle in high school, moved inside, started a lot of games for Alabama at guard, it would be Javian Cohen. Booker is listed at 6'4", 284 pounds right now, according to On3. I want to say when Javian Cohen committed to Auburn originally, he was listed at 6'5", 275 pounds-ish. So kind of in that same range. And then obviously he ends up going to Alabama. I think by the time he was done with high school, he was like in that 295 range, played, tackle early in his career at Alabama, would continue to be in that 295, 300-pound range. Then by the time he became a starter at guard, he was kind of 305. Once he left Alabama to go play at Miami, he ended up gaining some weight. I think his final year at Miami, or his lone year at Miami, he was like 322 pounds. I thought he got a little bit too heavy could handle the power a little bit better than he did at Alabama, but just the movement, a lot was sacrificed there. But a guy like Chris Booker, he's not going to be asked to get up to 320 plus pounds. I think he's a guy maxed out. It's probably going to be in that 305 range, kind of like Javian Cohen, right. Similar size, similar length. And, I think that Chris Booker actually at this stage in his career, he's a little bit better of an athlete. And when you talk about Kalen DeBoer's offense and what they're going to ask their offensive linemen to do, you don't start off with the massive bodies, the Caden Proctors coming out of high school. Like that was a Nick Saban get that they targeted, and he's lost a little bit of weight and he's doing just fine in Kalen DeBoer's system. But that's not the style of player that you're going to see them go after nowadays. They want to go after the guys who are a little bit lighter, who have immense talent. They have a ton of athleticism. They can move, all the pulling that you're going to be asking them to do, all the screens, getting out there and kind of being able to get on second and third level defenders, perimeter defenders, get them blocked. That's something that you're going to see on Chris Booker's tape quite a bit. And as he continues to get bigger, yes, I'm sure a little bit of that athleticism will be zapped. I mean, obviously, as you continue to gain weight and stuff, you're going to get a little bit slower, but I think he's going to maintain. It's all about adding the weight and maintaining as much of that as possible. And I think he's going to, I think the staff will do a good job with that.
All right, so Booker had offers from a couple of other SEC programs, but it was Kentucky and Mississippi State, So there's a reason why Coach Cap and Alabama really liked Booker, and part of it is that they see a lot of potential and growth coming his way, right? He's going to be visiting Alabama, according to our good friend Andrew Bone, on May 30th to June the 2nd, right? And so that'll be his official visit. He's been there twice already for Alabama practices in March and April. And so, or at least he's scheduled to do that. And then, obviously he's met with Coach Cap in Alabama before. So that's where he is right now. And it gives Alabama their second recruit in this class. And we were wondering, like, hey, are we going to add anybody in here? So here we go. We added a guy.
That's exactly right. And what I love about this is when you go and watch them on tape, you see like they're not interested in going after guys with a bunch of stars. You've got to fit what they're looking for because they believe in their ability to develop guys. And that might be to some people, hey, you're just selling something. Right. Hey, let's see where he finishes in the rankings. I'm telling you, he's going to be, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if he was kind of in that Javian Cohen range. I mean, Cohen was a 4-star, but he was, I want to say just inside the top 300, maybe. He wasn't overly, he wasn't super highly ranked, but he had some good offers. This kid, I guarantee you, as he gets bigger, and I guarantee you now that Alabama's got him committed, some other schools are going to be taking a look at his tape. They're going to like and see exactly what Alabama's seeing. Now, he's not going to fit every scheme, but, I think with what Kalen DeBoer is wanting to do with its offensive lineman, we've talked about it a lot. They want athleticism. They want nastiness. This guy brings both. He's still growing. He's not going to play at Alabama at 6'4", 284 pounds, I guarantee you. But he will be probably in that, 300, 305 range. I think he does a good job as far as the run blocking. He'll get after people. He had a lot of knockdown blocks, and he showed some physicality, and he kind of had a blindside block. And by blindside, I mean the movie The Blind Side, where he ran a kid out of bounds on his huddle tape. And I'm talking about just took him and ran him off the camera. I mean, completely. I actually go find that clip and share it to Twitter because I thought it was pretty funny. But that's the way that this kid plays. So he's got that nastiness. He's not quite like the bully that Bear McWhorter is, watching him on tape, but he's also not even close to being as big. So that's to be expected, but he's still very physical for his size. And you just imagine kind of where he was playing and what he looked like on tape at 265 pounds. Add another 20 pounds to that, probably closer to 25 or 30 by the time he gets to next year or this coming fall. And he'll be a guy, I'm sure, that's pushing guys around a little bit more. But, I mean, he's exactly what Coach Cap and Kalen DeBoer want with their offensive linemen. And there's a reason that they went after him and were willing to take him in this class.
So the next guy that Alabama could see is the guy we did a video on. And you mentioned him, Bear McWhorter. I mean, could he be the next guy to commit to Alabama? He's set for February 28th. And but you never know. I mean, look, we didn't know that this was coming today, and surprise, surprise, Bama gets Chris Booker. We did mention him the other day, but you never know. I mean, like it wasn't like he had a big set announcement and all that stuff, just hey, here it goes, and it gives Alabama 2 recruits in the 26 class. And, just keep trying to push.
That's exactly right. And I like, once again, how they're building. I like how they built the offensive line last year, or with this current class that we really haven't seen yet. But now they're kind of stacking that. This style of player, once again, it's not going to be, overly glamorous to a lot of people, but I think they'll get some of that star power with the offensive line that everybody's going after. The Michael Carrolls, the Jackson Lloyds. I think you'll probably end up with some of those in this class too. But, I don't know. And granted, some of those could be Bear McWhorter or Chris Booker. Like, I wouldn't put either one of them up there at this point, even though I do think Bear McWhorter, I view him as like, I feel like it should be a top 125 prospect. And I think Chris Booker is a 4-star player. And like I said, On3 did have him ranked as a 4-star. I don't know when that exactly happened, but the fact that they are putting such an emphasis on continuing to build the trenches, one of the toughest things that a new coach that's going to have a new system has when they come in is when you require a different style of offensive lineman, it takes multiple years. And, we've seen that at a lot of different stops over the years. Alabama's kind of going through that transition. They've got good players with their offensive line. They're going to have good players this upcoming season, but it's like with Tyler Booker. You look at Tyler Booker, and if that guy wasn't really like a 5-star player, and for being a guy his size didn't already have, tons of athleticism, he would have really struggled in Alabama's system. He could have been a good player in the previous system, but then really struggled as he transitioned to more of that athletic, kind of got to get out there in space. But he's just such a freak, I guess you'd say, where he's got all that size that you look for and covet, but he also has got the movement, or at least the movement enough. He's not going to be playing that style of offense in the NFL, almost guarantee you. But he can make that work and still be a serviceable, really good offensive lineman. Caden Proctor's kind of the same way. Like, he can survive in this Kalen DeBoer system, but this isn't what you typically see. And so they're going to get Kalen DeBoer's guys once again. We'll see how these guys that they're evaluating, or they've evaluated in the 2025 class, we'll see how that turns out. But let's see where Chris Booker, potentially Bear McWhorter, if they could get him in the mix. Getting 2 offensive linemen early, getting those hogs up front, I think that certainly would fix a lot.
Yeah, well, I hear you, man. Well, look, there we go. Bama adds Chris Booker to their class. Now they've got 2 in the class of 26, but look for a lot more action. And when that happens, you can count on us here on Cover Crimson to break it down, talk about what they bring to the field as far as expertise, where they'll fit into the system, what they mean to the class ranking. And so 4-star, Booker a 4-star, and he'll be part of Alabama's 26 class moving forward on offensive linemen out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. Any final thoughts, Clint?
No, just appreciate everybody kind of hopping on here with us pretty quick. We did get word that this could be coming down the pipe. We didn't know when it was going to be coming. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be today. It kind of felt like a Friday thing. And next thing you know, it's dropping. Once again, good get for Alabama. We're starting to see the ball rolling on several guys. So this whole little wave that you're starting to see, this could be the beginning of something. We'll see what happens with Bear McWhorter. We'll see what happens with some of these other guys. Obviously setting up a lot of visits for the summer. I would suspect it'll be another cold summer, Mick.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, guys, thank you for being here. We're brought to you by MyBookie. Use that promo code next round, double your initial deposit. March Madness. Yeah, dead ahead, March Madness. And hopefully Bama will get it figured out by then, because the last couple games have not been great for the Crimson Tide, but they're still one of the best teams in the country. Don't count out my Tide. MyBookie.ag, promo code next round. They'll double your initial deposit. And covercrimson.com. That's where Clint lives. He's on there constantly breaking stuff down on the message board. We've been talking on the message board about not just football and basketball, which we do a lot, but we've been talking about softball. For some reason, you guys love talking softball. I feel like Coach Murphy's, we got to turn it around fast.
Hey, you don't say that.
I know Coach Murph.
I need you to be positive, Mick. Positive vibes. Don't
6-5.
Don't do this with Murph. Don't do it with Murph. Don't. The man's bought a little bit of leeway over the years. So it's been a tough schedule to start. Let's give him a chance. But yeah, the record right now is not great.
They're picked 10th in the SEC.
Yeah, which is not a place that Alabama fans are used to seeing the softball team. You are correct there.
But it gets you in the tournament these days. But you guys get on there, covercrimson.com. You tell me what you think. Tell me why Bama softball is in for the long haul or sliding in the wrong direction. We'll do that. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, as always, on here. And we've got, according to Jake Coker, we've got Alphonse Taylor, a.k.a. Shank, in studio tomorrow at 4:00. So we'll see. So
and if you haven't seen him on a video yet, I would definitely tune into that because he is quite fun. I'll be tuning in.
Yeah. All right, guys, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being here on Cover Crimson, and roll Tide, everybody.